Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Now, my next guest is the British Nigerian lawyer turned artist, Saratu Ishaya Audu, known as Sarah Audu. She only began painting in early 2020, I believe, but a year and a half later, the vitality, colour and drama of her works are being celebrated in Europe and are on display in art galleries in the UK and Italy, with Western art dealers making bids for them and calling her the Picasso of Africa. As you walk to her gallery collection, you're immediately struck by the combinations of ancient and modern traditions, a sense of the past in the present. As I mentioned in the past, everything from a typical African village scene that could easily date back centuries to modern, sinuous, curved dancers shimmering with tinselled colours. Isn't that brilliant? And I'm delighted to say that Sarah Audu joins me now from London. Great to see you, Sarah, surrounded by your art, of course. How nice to talk with you again. You've come a long way in a year and a half, because if I remember correctly, the last time we spoke, you were telling me that you'd only been doing art for a few months, and now you've got your art in galleries in the UK and in Italy. That is pretty exciting stuff.
Hi, Charles. Thank you so much for having me again. You're right. I've had a brilliant year. Lockdown was wonderful for me. And yes, my art is in galleries in Genoa, and I've recently just got a contract with a gallery in Kensington on Church Street called HJ Gallery. So I'm really amazed. So far, I've sold about 136 paintings in 6 countries.
Ali, although I can hear your voice through my ear, I can't hear it in the studio. But tell us how you got to where things are now, because I mean, you started originally kind of playing around with it, and then what happened? You started taking it very seriously. You decided that you were now going to turn full time, or at least, huge time into this. What happened?
Well, initially I wanted to paint for myself. I felt I'd reached that stage in my life where I should begin to own paintings. And my mother used to collect paintings from the Far East. So I collected a few from Vietnam, and I then decided to paint for myself. And I went to an art night, and I was quite surprised when I put my painting on Facebook. People said things like, "Did you do that?" And I said, "Yes." And then it was like, "Can I buy it?" And then, so I went to another art night. I went to about 4 art nights, and all those paintings sold. And I really, really enjoyed painting. And because people liked what I was doing, I just kept doing it. And and they just kept selling, actually.
And at the moment, I'm just reading that you sold, I mean, dozens of paintings. I mean, a lot of the galleries where your material, your works are being displayed are where the big money is. And you've now expanded to have a clothing brand and do sort of bedding and homeware.
Yes, I do. So basically, I'm quite energetic, and not only have I been painting on canvas, but I've also been doing sculpture, clay, and clothes. So my clothing brand is called Audu Art, and I convert my paintings into things like, say, suitcases, travel pillows, bedding, clothes. I'm finding it really exciting.
And of course, all of this, I suppose, in a broader sense, connected to the expansion of art, African art in particular, and the attraction that it's drawing in places across Europe. I mean, virtually everywhere you go now, in the big cities around the globe, London, Paris, Rome, New York, Sydney, Australia, you've got all these various catalogues that are built entirely around African art. I mean, what's your sense of how things have advanced in that direction?
African art is definitely enjoying a comeback, and I think it's to do with our color. If you look at the world, it's kind of very drab and dreary, and you turn on your news and you're sort of faced with disasters all over the world, and then you sort of turn to African art and it's full of joy and color. And for me, the art actually has an energy. So, when you walk into my house, there isn't anyone here that's unhappy. It's like the sun infuses you through my art. And I think that this is what African art does to people. It just, infuses you with joy. And I think people are looking for joy at the moment.
Well, yes, absolutely, and that's definitely an element of art that I personally appreciate. But then there are those who suggest that, particularly in the West, that you're called the Picasso of Africa. Picasso, of course, who is a European, and some have suggested that a lot of contemporary African art is simply a second-hand copy of Western art. What's your reaction to that?
I think that Western art, especially Picasso, was borrowing ideas from Africa. So Picasso was very metaphysical in his art, and African art is metaphysical. We sort of paint about the essence, not necessarily, I may paint Kim Kardashian, you may not recognize it's Kim Kardashian, because I'm painting the essence. I'm painting the whole Donda, Kanye West. So African art was the original art was metaphysical. It wasn't just what you see is what you get. For example, the Turner kind of art, we had like spiritual art. And I think people are going back now into spiritual causes. And, African art is very spiritual. It's spiritually fulfilling. It's full of joy.
And you talked about doing Kanye West and so on, which is, you couldn't get more contemporary than that. But are you also going back yourself into that spiritual well to bring things out of it? I was talking to somebody a few days ago, the son of Ben Enwonwu, who's a very well-known Nigerian sculptor and a painter, who, the Queen sat for him, the Queen Elizabeth and so on. That's how popular he was. But a lot of what he did was based on African traditional art. He painted a lot of masquerades and cultural events, the court of the Oba of Benin and that sort of thing. But your art is divided, from what I understand, into various categories. What message do you want to communicate to people through that art?
I think the message I want to communicate is really that people should wake up from the dream that we call life. And especially in Africa, it's a challenge to people to, come out of conditioning and to create a reality that is fulfilling to them, as opposed to feeling victimized. Oh, the government has done this, or this has done that. But the bottom line, who is the government? It's you. Everything is made up of us. So I think my main message is change has to come from you. If you change, you see that things around you change. And I think that's what I try to communicate.
And I also notice that a lot of your art is infused beyond sort of joy. If you look close enough, you detect sort of feelings and emotions and that sort of thing that go with the characters in the works that are being created. Am I off the mark, or am I reasonably correct there?
You're absolutely correct. I do have characters that go through trauma, and they come out into the light, and that's just a reflection of my own life. The painting that you're showing at the moment is King Solomon's Harem. It's in a gallery in Kensington at the moment.
And I mean, how proud a moment was it for you? Because I'm always sort of, I mean, one of the things that fascinates me about the way that you've progressed, Sarah, is the way that you just decided you were going to do art, and then started doing it and did it absolutely proficiently to a level where art galleries are, I mean, coming after you for your art. I mean, what did it feel like to go to that Kensington Art Gallery and see your paintings there and people actually admiring them, art, you know, critics coming to analyze them and that sort of thing?
It's like a dream come true. And I feel kind of very deeply honored actually to be given a contract with a gallery in Kensington. It's a dream come true.
So
I've been inviting all my family actually. So I'm hoping to see loads of Nigerians in HJ Gallery, Kensington Church Street.
Right. So what's happened to the legal career then?
I think I've been to that because, you know, legal careers are very stressful, and I've had a lot of bosses who have actually died. And I would prefer, I think, to live happily with art. My last job, I left it because my boss, you know, had cancer. So I've had about 3 different bosses that have died from stress to do with law.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but obviously this artwork is much more sort of. I mean, it's you interact with yourself basically, don't you? And it's something that you can do on your own without. I mean, law requires you to go out and sort of meet people and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And also the thing with art is that, you know, I can express myself. I think one of the things that attracts people to my art is that I haven't been taught. So I've not been taught what not to do and what to do. So that way I just express myself. That painting is me and my higher self, my best friend. So my art is just very pure, because, you know, when children are born and they're just quite pure, and then we teach them, don't do that, you've got to be afraid of this. My art doesn't have any fear in it because no one has taught me to be afraid of putting these bright colors together, or making a chicken green, or, you know, making the black sheep. I've got a chicken and she's got some little chicks, and one of them is black, so that's my black sheep. So my sheep is a chicken. So no one's taught me not to think like that, and I think that's quite, you know, refreshing. I don't overthink my art. I overthink everything else.
Well, I mean, I'd go so far as to say that it's almost revolutionary. I mean, we've got less than 60 seconds to end the chat, but I mean, have you had art critics analyzing your art, and what have they been saying?
At the moment, not yet, but what I have had is galleries abroad inviting me to exhibit my art, which has been really exhilarating.
Well, I have to say, Sarah, I'm really impressed with the way that you've moved forward. I mean, the last time we spoke with you, I believe, was in August of last year.
August.
And we're in September now, so it's just over a year. And you've made dramatic strides, and I wish you all the very best. And Sarah,
thank you so much for your
Audu
time,
talking
Charles.
to me
Thank
there
you.
from London. She's the artist known as the Picasso of Africa.